Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Your Mark on the World show. I'm your host, Devin Thorpe, and our guest today is Tamra Ryan. She's the CEO of the Women's Bean Project in Denver. Tamra, welcome to the show.
Great to be here, Devin. Thanks.
We're thrilled to have you. You're doing some amazing work there in Denver, on the other side of the mountains from me here in Salt Lake. But you are employing women at the Women's Bean Project that, quite frankly, no one else would hire. Tell us how you make that work.
Well, it can be a challenge, but we hire women who've been chronically unemployed. And so one of our criteria is that she wouldn't have had a job longer than a year in her lifetime, though the average age is about 38. So that gives you a sense of that chronic unemployment, how chronic it is.
Wow.
If we hire her for what we call a transitional job. So she works for us for a full-time job, but for 6 to 9 months. And during that time, she's working in our gourmet food manufacturing business and learning the skills of not just getting a job, but keeping it. So basic job readiness skills like coming to work every day and taking direction and paying attention to detail. What also really makes this work is we focus on teaching what we call life skills: problem solving, goal setting, budgeting, planning, and organizing. Those are all skills that will not just make her a better worker, but also a better mom and community member.
How successful are the women when they leave your program?
Well, about 70% of the women we hire graduate our program, and 100% go on to jobs. So we work with them in their job search phase. We help them learn how to look for jobs and how to create their resumes and how to interview, all those things. And then 100% go on to jobs in the community. And then we track them every 6 months. And at 1 year, an average of 95% of the women still have employment.
Wow, that's remarkable. Do you keep your statistics? Do you keep checking on them beyond that? Because you've been around for almost 30 years. Do you have some that you've tracked for a decade or more?
Well, the women, it's dependent on them checking in with us, but we pay them to check in. So every 6 months, we pay them $50 to check in with us. And we intentionally made it a dollar amount that would be motivating. Because frankly, I'd check in for $50.
Yeah,
but,
so would I. Can I check in?
Yes, sure. After a year, the number of women who check in drops, but usually that's a sign that they're doing well. And so the $50 is maybe a nice thing to have, but it's not a necessity for them. So we have a much more informal process for follow-up after that. But we have women who come in all the time who are still in jobs or still in careers that they started 10 plus years ago. And I think probably the greatest testament for our graduates is when they bring in someone who they think would benefit from the program. And that happens very frequently.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Now, I want to step back and talk about why and how women end up in the program. What are the circumstances that lead to this? Is it just that these are lazy women and you have to train them how to work? What's the deal?
Well, I think what you just said is one of the biggest challenges we have in our society today is the perception that we should just pull ourselves up by our bootstraps and figure it out. And I think that that's a misconception. The women who come here have multiple barriers to employment. So that means that often she grew up in an environment where she didn't witness anyone working or anyone getting up every day and going to work. So that wasn't the norm for her as she was growing up. Often she grew up in an environment where there was addiction and abuse and incarceration. And so those were her norms. And so she's repeating that cycle. So a typical woman has not just one barrier of chronic unemployment. She has perhaps a history of addiction and incarceration related to that, teenage pregnancy, dropping out of school, so lack of education and skills. And so the challenge is all of those things combined are very difficult to overcome. No woman comes here with just one problem.
So I guess I'm kind of picturing a 35-year-old woman who's been in and out of jail. Maybe she's probably a mother, maybe a grandmother at 35. She is didn't finish high school and has probably been addicted and maybe comes into your shop addicted. That's a lot to deal with, and yet you've been remarkably successful. What is the key to your success?
Well, I do think that it is, when they come to the Beam Project, they are coming to what we call a safe and accepting work environment. She has to be clean and sober, and we do check that. She has to be willing and ready to make a change in her life. And so what is happening when she comes here is we focus on her future. One woman said to me once, for the first time in my life, I have a group of people who are more focused on my future than my past. So everyone comes here for a reason, and frankly, no one person's reason is any better or worse than another's. What is important is whether or not she's focused on creating a new life for herself. And usually by the time she comes here, she's very motivated because she's out of choices. You're 35 years old. Our women have an average of 3 children. They have histories of incarceration. They have poor, if any, work history. And then they get to the point where there are no other options. They really do have to figure it out. And yet there is this gap between, say, welfare ending and the ability to go to work. And that's where we come in. We're helping bridge that gap. It's not just a matter of her getting a job and figuring it out. She really does lack the understanding of norms within a workplace. And that's, I think, really the key to success, is moving someone from not understanding that if you communicate with your supervisor, you can solve many problems, to being able to productively communicate in a workplace, both with her coworkers and her supervisor, understanding the value of showing up every day and on time, and how she will receive and perhaps that's the experience.
Yeah. Why work with women exclusively?
I think when you bring women together, there is a dynamic that can be created in terms of them being able to support one another that's different than it would be if it was co-ed environment. The women become as much a support network to each other as Women's Beam Project is for them. So there is the formal support the Women's Beam Project provides, and then the somewhat informal support that they provide one another. So I might walk past the production line one day and hear, "Girl, you got to get rid of that man," and other things that are about them working together to lift one another up. And I don't know that that could happen if we were in a co-ed environment. I think there would be other dynamics that would get in the way.
Yeah. Now, one of the challenges you face is the resources to do more. You're turning away, I think you told me, 4 out of 5 applicants. REDF has provided some capital to help you grow. What's the strategy there?
Well, the funds from REDF will help us do some product development, and we're going to be changing and updating our packaging and our branding so that we appear better on grocery store and other retail shelves. We're in about 1,000 stores across the country, and a lot of those sales really have come from a network of friends who we've built over the almost 30 years. So many people have moved to our community from other places. They'll buy our product and send it to friends, and then those people become customers, and that informal network has worked really well for us. It's time for us now to be more present on a grocery store shelf or on a retail shelf, so that a customer can walk by and be compelled to buy our product. And then we are also making some changes in terms of new products that are much more current to how people eat today. We were founded with bean soup. It's a very simple product, and we have 6 different kinds of bean soup. They're made in a slow cooker or on a stovetop, but not everybody eats that way. People are looking for more convenience. So we'll be introducing some really fun products that will address those needs.
Can you tell us about the new products, or are they double top secret at this point?
Well, they're pretty close to coming out, so I'd be delighted to. One of the product concepts is called Jammin' Biscuits. And it is a biscuit mix. You add water, and it's a drop biscuit. It takes about 12 minutes to bake. And then it comes with a jam mix that you cook on a stovetop and then put into the refrigerator. And so within an hour, really, you have homemade jam and biscuits. So
Wow.
super easy to make and very delicious, and you look really good to your brunch guests.
Yeah, for sure. Sounds delicious.
Another concept is what we call heirloom pop, and it's popcorn with a variety of spices that come with it. So you pop the popcorn and sprinkle the spices on it.
Yeah. Now, shifting gears just a little bit, Tamra, you are a role model to a lot of people. You were just named one of the 25 most powerful women in Colorado. Holy cow, what an honor for us to have you on our show. But I wonder, especially when things get tough, and I know they do, it's the nature of life, who do you look up to? Who provides you inspiration?
Devin, I'm really lucky because I get to come to work every day and meet people who inspire me. Because the women who come here have to make a commitment to changing their life and do what's hard over what is expeditious. There was a woman who actually just graduated our program this week. She went on to a job in the community, who had a horrific upbringing. She was born addicted to heroin. She became addicted to cocaine and then meth in her teen years. And now she's 30 years old and is finally, for the first time in her life. And what's amazing about her that inspires me is that she has decided that all the adults in her life as she was growing up don't deserve her disdain or her hatred, because, as she says, she doesn't know what they went through that led her to do what they did to her, led them to do what they did to her. And that instead she wants to focus on herself, and she wants to focus on creating her new life. And I think that ability to sort of rise above what's been done to you and realize that what you have is the choice and the power is so inspirational. And I suspect that if more of us had that kind of mentality, the world would be a better place.
Oh, for sure. I think all of us allow a little bit of that victim attitude to constrain our potential. And she is a great example of someone who's sort of stepping beyond this. I'm not going to let what happened to me, what others did to me, be a constraint on my future. I think that is an inspiring example. Thank you for sharing. Now, Tamra, you are a super capable woman. You could be doing anything. Why this?
I, first of all, fundamentally believe that when you change your mother's life, you change your family's life. It starts with the nucleus of the family, and then the ripple extends out beyond that. So every woman who comes to us has an average of 3 kids. And what I see is that each woman who came had a background that led her to where she is. And the only way we're going to stop a cycle of poverty is to stop it with the mother, I think, and allow her to set an example for her kids in a way that shows them that there's a different possibility for their future.
Yeah.
I love the business model of Women's Beam Project. I love the fact that there's a business, and the better the business does, the more women can be served. The more product we sell, the more jobs we create. And I love that interplay of the business. You know, I get to come to work every day and run a manufacturing operation, and I do it in a way that is benefiting lives. And I don't know very many places where you have the opportunity to do that, but in a social enterprise.
Yeah. Well, I share your passion and certainly respect, and I'm grateful for the great work you're doing. You really are a super powerful person. What do you think of as being your superpower?
I think if I imagine myself being a superhero for a moment, I would say it's the ability to go from microscopic to telescopic, the ability to hone in on a situation and see the details. But really, ultimately, my job is to take a step back and look into the future and help our organization move into a future. But at the same time, that ability to go back and forth, I think, is something that I uniquely can do.
Fantastic. Well, Tamra, we're so grateful that you took the time to be with us today. I know that people who are watching will want to learn more about you and your organization. Can you tell us how people can learn more and connect with you personally?
Sure. Well, my Twitter handle is @Tamra Ryan, TamraRyan. My email address is tamrar@womensbeingproject.com, and it's TAMRAR. And then they can find out more information about Women's Being Project at womensbeingproject.com.
Fantastic. Well, Tamra, thank you very much for being with us today. We wish you every success in growing your business and helping more women.
Thanks, Devin. Great to see you.
All righty. Let's do some good.